how are you? I hope you are good. I am raging, but I'm almost okay. If you've seen my rage rant videos on Instagram stories, you know why. This is like a parcel thing, you know, you've been there when they say they attempted the delivery but they really didn't, and you know they didn't. I'm okay though, I'm okay, I'm okay now. So before that I sat down to film a wrap-up and TBR video, and I'm currently reading video. This is what I'm gonna do now. This one has been better reading wise than the last month, and so I have read 2 books and a graphic novel, and I'm currently reading an audiobook. Listening to an audiobook. So I suppose I'll start with the one that I've read first, and that was The Gathering of Shadows. I read this while I was visiting my family because I wasn't able to distract myself with all the other things, you know, like actual work and then work that I make myself do at home for like candles and whatnot. So I was really happy that I finished this. It was different from what I was expecting. This is just following our main characters from Darker Shade of Magic, and Darker Shade of Magic is basically a high fantasy where 4 different Londons exist in the world, but only 2 selected people at the moment can travel between them, and it's sort of like a story about the difference about the Londons, and it's quite political to an extent, and I really love the characters. It's definitely character driven. I think that I'm actually gonna say that this book had less action than the previous, but I am a very much of a character driven person myself, so I definitely did enjoy it. I was not expecting it to be like it was. I obviously can't say a lot about this because I don't even want to mention certain characters, because then you will know that they either died or survived during the first book, so I'm not gonna. I gave this either 5 or 4.5 stars because I really did enjoy it, and although I do think that it's probably not for everyone, I'm gonna sound completely weird, but it gave me Avatar, The Last Airbender vibes, and also Dragon Ball Z vibes. And I know that sounds really weird, but I have my own reasons for why that is, and this was those 2 things clashed with a high fantasy and amazing atmospheric writing into one, and I bloody loved it. So this was a great beginning to a month. Well, this took like half a month for me to read because I'm a slow reader. Then I read a graphic novel that I bought a while ago, but for some reason didn't pick up until now because that's just how I do. And that's Monstrous. I'm not gonna lie, I did pick this one up without knowing anything about it, but the art of it really intrigued me, and I feel like if you can judge a book by its cover, graphic novel could be one of those, because obviously a lot of the story is about the art. Zeus! The only time that I misled myself by thinking that I'm gonna love it because of the art, Paper Girls, but I know a lot of people loved it, and so it's just my thingy. This is a story about different species and how they try to coexist but they can't, and basically there's like a species war, and it's very much about one type of people thinking they're better than other type of, you know, the gist. It's the whole Hitler scheme, but in a novel, and I really enjoyed it. It sort of reminded me of my all-time favorite indie game, which is Dreamfall, where similar things happen in one of the worlds there, and if you like games and you like extreme good stories for games, you have some time on your hands, I so recommend that game. So recommend it. But anyway, this was amazing. This was better than I thought it would be, and for a graphic novel, I loved it so much. Like, can you look at that art as well? Ooh, it's definitely quite dark, so I don't recommend this if you're squeamish or if you're really young, I would say. But if you're into that sort of thing, this is a thing for you. I love it. I love it. This was definitely a 5 stars for me, and I got the second volume faster than the speed of life. Speed of life? What speed is that? Speed of light. Speed of light. And so by the time this goes up, I will have finished Book in a Jar for the month of July, and that's The Long Way to a Small Angry Planet. At the moment, for the Book of the Jar for September, there's a vote on my Instagram, and if you want to, you can go and vote. Book in a Jar is a book club, by the way, if you don't know, because I know there's new people here, and welcome. But if you don't know, that's a book club that I'm hosting. It's very low-key, it happens every 2 months, and people get to vote on my Instagram account for the book that I'm gonna read with you guys. So the theme for what I'm going for September is basically unsettling. So I have 3 books that are possibly unsettling, and so one is Room, the other one is The Lovely Bones, and the third one is Nod. The third one is Nod. Wow, that took me a while. But anyway, back to this one. I haven't finished it yet, so I can't really say what I'm gonna feel at the very end, but there's probably gonna be like minimum of 20 minutes of footage on my book diary. But what I'm saying that so far I am bloody loving it. Like the sense of humor in this book and the sci-fi vibes pace of the book I really enjoy. It's not fast. You probably, when you think about sci-fi, you think about more action-packed plot, but it's not actually really. But it's not slow. I wouldn't say that it's slow either, but I think it's brilliantly paced for me personally. I am really loving it. This is gonna be, so far this is definitely at least 4 stars for me, and it can't possibly go to 5. It depends how this ends. I fell in love with these characters so quickly that I don't think I've ever been so in love with the book from the first like 50 to 70 pages when I read it. If that doesn't indicate a great book for me, then I don't know what does. But I really like this one, and I hope you read it with me. And if you haven't read it with me just now, you can still do it later and then check the video out, because I don't know, I think it's fun, and I hope you guys do too. So I'm gonna move on to my currently reading section, which is technically this at this point in time, but also Night Film on audiobooks. I am, how far am I into that? So I'm not too far in. I still have 15 hours remaining. I think it's over 20 hours in total for that book, for the audiobook. I am listening on 1.3 speed, I think, because it was a bit too slow for me, but I think the whole plot is too slow for me, which is weird because I love slow books, and if anything I expected and anticipated to be drawn into the story and just love it with all my being. It's sort of like a mystery thriller thing, or it should be, and there are points where I'm definitely really into it, but there are times that I have to force myself to come back to it, and that it has nothing to do with my state of mind. It's more that I drift away in my thoughts because I'm not intrigued enough. I think it's too slow. But there are bits where I'm thinking that is spot on and the writing is beautiful. I just think something is lacking, and I don't know exactly what, but I think that at this point, after 5+ hours, I really should be more interested in that. And normally with audiobooks, sometimes I'll come, because I listen to this when I go to work and when I come back from work, and if I have to walk anywhere, basically. This is another reason why I'm listening to audiobooks, because then it sort of gives me more of an incentive to just go for a walk, you know, with no reason whatsoever, just to listen to the book. And so I'm walking and listening, and usually I would take those walks, but I don't feel like I want to, you know, I don't feel invested enough, and I'm so sad. I had such high expectations. I don't understand why I'm not so into it. And it's not that I have any problem disliking books that everybody loves, but I'm talking about the people liking the book that usually have very similar taste to mine, or dislike the books that I dislike, and you know, just similar taste basically. And it's just so sad. Anyway, it still has time to pick up, but just because of the struggle that I am currently experiencing, it's sort of frustrating. I don't want to give up on this book, because I do care, and I also feel like I spend, you know, 5 to 6 hours already listening to this, so you know, I don't want to give up on it. But at the same time, this is not gonna be a 5-star book for me just because it's already 5 hours and I'm just like on the fence about it. I don't know. So now onto my TBR. As I said, I bought the volume 2 for Monstrous because I really want to read it, so this is definitely gonna be read in the month of August. Speaking of continuations of graphic novels or comics, actually I got all confused because I heard somewhere that this is actually a comic, so now I feel like I don't know the difference between a graphic novel and a comic, so I feel dumb. So someone please let me know in the comments if those are graphic novels or if they're comics, because now I'm thinking that graphic novels are only the ones that I have like 2 volumes and that's it, or something like that, but they're not put together from smaller comics into 1 volume. Do you know what I mean? Maybe that's what it is. So that's Rat Queens, and I read the first one for the first month that we've done the Loki 3 club, and I absolutely loved that comic, graphic novel, whatever. And so I picked up the second one only now because I don't know, they're expensive, so I had to save up on those. It's not really that long. which is sad. I wanted it to be longer, but I cannot wait to read more of those because it's hilarious. So Rat Queens are just basically 4 kick-ass women, and they just go and fight crime, and they're not heroes per se. They're really cheeky and just sassy, and I don't know, I love it. Love it! Then speaking of Loki 3 for the month of August, we're picking up Etiquette Espionage, which is supposed to be like a really low-key, fluffy, contemporary fantasy? I'm actually not sure. This is basically about ladies who are trained to also be assassins. That's all I know, and I'm just like, you know what? I haven't read any of these sort of fluffy books in a while now, so doing it now. And the next 2 books I already mentioned at some point, I'm fairly certain, like recently, but the very next book that I'm grabbing after I'm finished with The Long Way to a Small Angry Planet is Genesis, because I need to read this and talk to Em about it. I know it's not very long and it's like there's a lot of gaps between stuff, so hopefully I'm gonna read it fast, but knowing me, I don't know, so I need to grab it and read it. I know nothing about this, but that's supposed to be the best way to go into this, because apparently it's mind-blowing at the end and then you keep thinking about it even if you read it 10 years ago. So I'm a little bit scared but very intrigued, so yeah. And the next one on a very similar note is from Jade, from JD Reads, who sent me her favorite book, Annihilation, which is I think now gonna be a movie at some point as well. So she's very stoked about it, and I want to know if I like this, and I hope I do. And it's not the longest of the books, so I have no excuse to not read this in August unless shit happens, as always, and then I'm not gonna get to it, but I hope I do. So that's it. I know for some people that's like not a lot, but for me it is. I hope that I can pull it off, and I am very excited about this. I'm actually gonna try and follow my TBR for next month. Let me know what you're gonna read next month. I'm always interested to hear that. Let me know especially if you've read Etiquette Espionage and what you thought about it, and also let me know what is the exact difference between graphic novels and the comics, because I want to know the correct term before somebody completely smashes me in the comments, because that would be preferable. Thanks again so much for watching. I can't believe there's so many of you who on a daily basis voluntarily look at me. Give a thumbs up if you enjoyed this, subscribe if you want to see more. I upload every Wednesday and Sunday and sometimes in between. Have a wonderful day, and I'll see you very soon. Bye!